into the rabbit hole. I'm sure you have heard there are some changes going on with Chase Bank, especially when it comes to their business credit cards and their business lending division. Now, nobody is really talking about these changes. So I want to dive deep into it, show you guys kind of how we got to this point, what's going on. And if you stay to the end, I'll talk about some strategies and some options to be able to help you out to make sure that you are aware if you are looking for capital with Chase and what to do with it. So first of all, what shifts are actually happening. As of July 1st, and this has pretty much been kind of in play the last couple of weeks, honestly, with a few of my relationship bankers, is July 1st, remote business relationship manager applications nationwide will no longer be allowed. So this means that relationship managers are going to be restricted to their geographic locations to provide DocuSign applications. We'll talk about why why were DocuSign applications, why were remote applications so advantageous, why were those so helpful? But from my conversations with my relationship managers, Chase really wants to bring back relationship banking, actually meeting people locally in person instead of phone calls and Zoom calls nationwide, so they get a better grip and understanding of the businesses they're actually lending to. But why was this process so useful in the first place? So the remote application process, if you guys worked with a legitimate relationship manager, they would provide you a DocuSign application, which would be similar to an online application where you'd fill out everything. You'd have a conversation or a Zoom call with that relationship manager so they could understand your business and your plans for the use of that money. And they would submit that application on behalf of you. The great thing about this is the DocuSign process was powerful because you could request credit limit increases. You could literally request a certain credit limit directly. Most banks don't allow you to request a certain credit limit directly. And so this is what made relationship managers in that relationship very advantageous to approvals. BRMs could also, if you have a good relationship with them, they'd advise you on certain things to do 30, 60 days before applying, whether, optimizing your report, the usage of your relationship, deposits, inflow, outflow, transactions, so that you could request a credit limit and pretty much be approved within 24 hours, 48 hours, and have that approval in your inbox. They could also bypass this automated system because if you're typically applying for a business credit card online over the website, you're dealing with an algorithm, right? You're not there. The algorithm is choosing your credit limit based off of your relationship with the bank, based off of your comparable credit limits, and of course, the structure and strength of your credit report. Now, the relationship managers were able to help people that were less qualified or typically, not in the best position, which still is a solid position, but, not, 750, 800 plus credit scores and really good solid credit reports. They were able to push approvals because they had direct access to underwriting to ask for those credit limits and ask for, reconsideration if there was a denial initially. Right. So it was super powerful. It's how people were getting pretty much 80 to 100K directly from Chase Bank. Chase is very well known for just giving out high limits because of this relationship. Now, if you followed me and you followed my channel and you work with me directly, I personally don't really think that applying to 2 business credit cards with Chase is a very smart move because there is a strategy that can help you in the longer term with your business. If you don't do that, right, you can continue to increase those limits and have a much longer runway of 0% with Chase, which is why I don't really recommend for most of my clients and the people I work with to apply to 2 business credit cards at once, because if you're thinking long-term with your business, that relationship can be so much more amazing if you go through that strategy that I guide people through. And what you don't notice is everyone was doing 2 credit cards. Everyone was going for, 80, 100K. And a lot of people don't understand the actual implementation of this. All they really cared about, other brokers in the space, was their commission check. 10 to 15K pretty much goes to them off one bank, right? So it makes sense for certain business owners when they have a direct plan, right? But not for everybody. So that is why relationship managers, remote applications were so amazing. Why were they so helpful during this process and being able to help, real business owners, real entrepreneurs access capital to grow and scale their business. But how did we actually get to this point? Now, let's take a trip down memory lane and how we got to the point of Chase changing up their rules and their process. During 2020, 2023, banks were lending aggressively, right? This was the era of essentially anyone could apply to business credit, access capital, and get approved for large limits from multiple different banks. During this process, Chase kind of turned a blind eye at the time because they wanted to lend. There was a lot of money in circulation, so they needed to put the money places, and they were pushing apps to smaller businesses. Because of that, though, a lot of things happened, which I'll touch on the reasons for these defaults, but a lot of defaults started stacking up. They started substantially increasing over the last year to year and a half, and this is the major reason why they're tightening up. But why did these defaults? Why were people starting to default? Well, a lot of other brokers in the space. Now, this isn't supposed to be a hit at anyone specifically. There's tons of great brokers in the space, people that I'm connected with and I collaborate with, that we kind of share information back and forth with one another. But the people that, this is why you don't chase or you don't work with the shiny object. The people that are basically, marketing and flashing diamond chains and diamond Rolexes and diamond watches, like these brokerages ended up putting money in the wrong people's hands. People that didn't really have a plan. They just wanted 0% money to spend on liabilities and not necessarily move it towards revenue generating activities. What's important is the people that you work with, and why you should vet them is make sure that you're educating people, first of all, on how to utilize the money in the right way, how to utilize it in their specific business, and provide education on future relationships later with banks that can help them if they were to get in a position where they didn't make their money back, and they can still have relationships where they can balance transfer that capital over to another card for another 12 to 18 months, or have access to a bank that's willing to give them money to pay that off, so they're not in a position of paying a ton of interest or defaulting on their cards. So this is a major reason, is the money just ended up in the wrong people's hands, people that were less qualified to have that money from the bank. When you have $70,000, $80,000, that is up in a month or so, this is super, super important. So people ended up defaulting on their cards. Another thing that Chase noticed, and this is a lot of this information is coming from direct information and conversations that I've had with relationship managers. Now, a lot of people during this process as well, for people that were starting businesses initially, everyone was using the same NAICS code. This NAICS code, 541613 marketing consulting, now has a little microscope when it comes to Chase, especially for new businesses, because a lot of these defaults that were happening were attached to this. So now these businesses that you typically don't want to get funding with, like, trucking businesses or real estate specific businesses or credit repair businesses that are typically a red flag to banks that they don't want to lend to, because they're not really service-based businesses. They require a lot of capital to then, make profit. It is now, like, 54163 marketing consulting is now attached to those businesses as kind of red flags. Chase doesn't really want to lend as much money to this NAICS code now, because a lot of those were used. A lot of those defaults were used with this NAICS code during the application process. So this is why it's important to understand the business plan, the type of business of your clients as well, and your business as well. Like if you're in e-commerce, if you are in Amazon, if you are in real estate, there's tons of service-based NAICS codes that you can utilize within the application process that still look really good and advantageous to not just Chase, but all banks, right? So now that's kind of under a little bit of a microscope. If you have this NAICS code though, relax. If you currently have it, I currently still used it just recently during my application process. It's not a problem if you already have optimized credit profiles. You're not going to have that many issues if you're still prioritizing your business credit and personal credit health with the banks you're applying to. It's just more of an issue and more of a microscope with brand new businesses, right? So these fringe profiles, the people that aren't as qualified or they're brand new businesses, are going to be looked at, or they might be asked additional questions just to make sure that they are legitimate, because they don't want to really keep lending out money to, an industry or a niche of business that is defaulting a lot under their umbrella. So this is reason number 2 of how we've gotten to this point. Now, reason number 3, highly recommend you do not do this. It does involve the brokers and yourself as well, but don't bribe or offer your relationship managers a commission for their approvals. First of all, the finance industry, the banking industry is highly regulated. The relationship managers, if you understand this, they still do get a slight commission on their credit card approvals as well. I'm not saying this is super common, but this is something that they noticed because a lot of people were bribing, not a lot of people, sorry. People were bribing, other brokerages were bribing their relationship managers through their business emails or through their business phone numbers. These things are tracked. These things are tracked by the higher ups. Like, you do not want to do that. You shouldn't think about doing that. This is a relationship, just like any other business. It's a relationship. You and your business relationship manager should have a legitimate relationship. You guys reach out to each other. You guys connect the dots. You guys help each other out, and don't bribe them with extra money, right? So they're already getting a cut from Chase. This is also how many BRMs either got fired because of just the illogicalness of the brokerages doing this on highly regulated emails and phone numbers. And this is how a lot of people got their relationship managers burned. So in an industry that was super collaborative and wanted to help each other out, has now been a little bit tainted because of this process. And this is why a lot of people aren't just giving away or handing out the connects of their relationship managers, because they ended up getting burned from other people just doing not best practices. So just don't do this. It's not super common, but this was another thing that was brought up on just being a reason why for these defaults and a reason why things are changing. So the real question is, can BRM still do remote applications? Technically, yes, they can do remote applications, but as of July 1st, and honestly over the last couple of weeks, most of, if not all, the relationship managers that I've spoke to are stuck with a specific qualification process now. If your business isn't doing 1 million in revenue and you can't technically prove it, or you don't have 100K in your business bank account, then you are pretty much stuck doing an online application. Now, I've heard some conflicting responses from some BRMs still, being able to help previous clients through DocuSign applications as long as they're in their geo footprint, because a couple of my relationship managers, a couple of my clients are actually, in the same area, which is really good. They can also help new clients in that area, but I think that is kind of gray area. I don't think that will happen. I think most BRMs are going to be sticking to the 1 mil or 100K process guidelines, because this is new. They're not going to want to go against their higher ups, these new rules. This is their job. This is their livelihood. This is their income. So just be aware of that. This is the new process in place. Now, if you're under 1 million in revenue, what is this new process? If you're under 1 million in revenue, you'll need to do online applications. Of course, as always, right? 30, 60, 90 days, typically 90 days, you want to prioritize transactions. You want to prioritize using your Chase cards in that relationship. And this is why having a true strategy for accessing capital for your business and understanding and working with people that understand true data points and have a strategy for you before the application process is going to be very important in getting those higher limits through the online application process if you are under that 1 million in revenue. I've already kind of developed a strategy that I'll be testing out as this is in play over, the next couple of months that I'm pretty excited about. And when it comes down to it, most of these online applications are typically going to be approvals between 15 and 30K. Now, people that have optimized profiles, optimized relationships, they're still winning with 35K approvals, is what I'm saying with the people that do have that. I have seen 40 and 50K approvals as well. But typically you're going to be 15 to 30K, which is still really great approvals, especially from Chase Bank. So be happy about that. Make sure you're taking these things into account. Now, what now? Well, I was going to include kind of next steps, strategy, process in this video, but it's going a little bit long, and I figured it might. So next video, if you guys tune in, I'm going to talk about why strategy matters more than ever with Chase. Some of the fraud prevention crackdowns that I've noticed over the last month or so when it comes to Chase applications, even on personal cards and business cards, the BRM network and levels, the possibility of finding a local relationship manager that is willing to work with you on a DocuSign or remote application, and of course the new online process and the timing of that, right? So before with those online applications, right, it could be done and you could have your approval, within 48 hours, within a few days. Now, this process is extending a little bit because of that. As always, that is the breakdown of what's going on with Chase. What are the changes that is happening? If you are a business owner who is looking to have a strategy developed for you, looking to access 50, 100, 150K in capital for your business to grow or scale it, feel free to reach out. As long as you guys hit these requirements, you have a good credit report, you have comparable credit limits, your utilization is low, you don't have any negatives, and you're looking for a true strategy process, then reach out to me and book a strategy call below. As well as if you're someone looking to start to build a business of your own and you want to optimize your profile so that you are ready to access capital and put that into play for your business, then reach out and we can book a strategy call below. So the link is down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have questions, if this was helpful, which I really hope it is, because Chase is a very advantageous bank, a great relationship to have, and this stuff is super important in terms of scaling your business and growing your business. Drop comments down below, hit like, hit subscribe, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.